As I pointed out in my last video, there are a lot of Big Finish audios and it's very difficult to choose which ones to go for. I highly recommend the 10th Doctor Adventures, either the first box set or the second box set. This review is going to focus on the second box set because I've just finished listening to it and boy howdy, this is fantastic. Wrong Doctor I know, but Alonzi just doesn't work as well here. Once again, we have three very different stories within this box set, and they don't skimp out on any of these. I think they are all equally as good as each other. Some are better than others, maybe just slightly, but that is down to personal preference. I absolutely adored all of these stories. Expect some spoilers, I won't ruin the entire plotline of it, but let's start with Infamy of the Zaros, because that's the first disc. So Infamy of the Zaros is an interesting episode, the first to be set in Norfolk and Norwich. This is an interesting story of an invasion coming to Earth, but the invaders don't quite know what they're doing. Of course, it is the Doctor and Rose in this box set, and you can't have the Doctor and Rose without Jackie Tyler popping up as well. And we also see another part of this family, the Tyler family, or a section of it. It's a very interesting idea that Jackie and Rose isn't the most dysfunctional part of the Tyler family. In fact, the part that's in Norwich is very much a mum who's almost bullying her daughter, and the daughter's trying to be the best person that she can be for her mum. And it's a very nice story of how Rose tells her not to be bullied, not to stand for any of the nonsense that she's getting at home from school, etc, etc. So some good actual life advice in this episode, as well as the comedy and everything else that goes into Infamy of the Zaros. John Dorney does a fantastic job with this one, and David Tennant is just so natural as the Doctor. He's been away, he's come back, you might think he's going to be a bit rusty, but he really isn't. He excels at being the Doctor and at being his Doctor. It's not overacted, it's not underacted, it is perfection. Whereas Infamy of the Zaros is a contemporary sci-fi hit, The Savord, the Chevalier is a really contrasting piece set in the Renaissance. But it's not just set there, this episode is actually historically accurate. The Chevalier is a person, in fact. I always quite like the historical pieces that actually focus on a main character, not just set in the past, like the cavemen piece from the First Doctor, in fact the First Doctor's first storyline. This is actually focusing on a notable person from history and incorporating them as a main character, much like they've done previously with Agatha Christie or William Shakespeare or the like of that sort of person. The Sword of the Chevalier really does take that main character and make them an essential part of the plot. We don't know what the creatures are exactly, they're a new creature within the show, but it's an interesting concept, and the mask you can see is probably a pretty good representation of what they would look like. It's not just a mask, it is actually them, and the fact that one of them has died and is just sort of there, it is their way, that is how they are. And they're also a higher being, they only answer to higher powers, so the human race mean nothing to them because they are primitive at this stage of history, so they can do as they like. This is probably my favourite episode of the set. It's probably my favourite historical episode ever, and it's on audio. I don't even get to see it, but I can imagine it so well because Guy Adams has done so well with the story, and with the characters, and with the soundscape. Whoever did the soundscape, they've done fantastically. Yes, The Sword of the Chevalier is my favourite episode of this box set. I like Cold Vengeance, but it is another Ice Warrior Vengeance story. The Ice Warriors defrost, they then want to kill everybody around them because they were at war previously. And I don't think that's a problem with the writing or the episode itself, but it is an issue with the Ice Warriors themselves because that is what they're like. We've sort of seen the side of them in previous episodes of Doctor Who, maybe the Third Doctor era, where they're part of the international or interplanetary kindness police. I've not seen those episodes, I don't know what they are. but they are nice people, they are a nice race. In Cold Vengeance and most of the modern Ice Warrior stuff, we don't see that side of them, except for perhaps Friday in the Series 10 episode Empress of Mars. Unfortunately, no sign of Friday here. However, we do get space pirates who get something at the very least to do, and they add a nice level of character into the episodes. We also have the bin people who are just there to take the bins, but end up doing so much more than that. So, Cold Vengeance is an interesting character episode, not an overly interesting Ice Warrior episode. If you've seen Cold War, then you'll have practically seen Cold Vengeance or heard Cold Vengeance, because they are very similar. Overall, the 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 2 is a very good box set. It has a mix of episodes, a mix of different genres. You get an Ice Warrior episode, a classic, a comedy episode, and a historically accurate episode. And there's also Jackie Tyler in the mix, so that's always fun. This is a really good box set, and if you are new to Big Finish, I would suggest this box set, because it's got everything. It really does have everything. And that's about it for this time. All that's left for me to say is thank you very much for watching and listening. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then please do like it, do subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I shall see you next time for something else. Goodbye.